This is Jiro from Umber Games, with something to talk with you about today. Now, don't close that browser tab or click a link in that sidebar just yet. Listen to this pitch, and if you're still not sold at the end, then you can go. Okay, imagine with me a dungeon-crawling, role-playing game with experience and loot, upgradable abilities, 32 elementally based playable characters that you can change on the fly as you explore a new world with varied environments ranging from floating islands in the sky, to underground lava-filled chambers, to dense forests, ultimately ending up in a dark fortress of chaos. All while playing through a story by Joel Cohen, one of the Academy Award-nominated co-writers of Toy Story, with the musical masterpieces of Hans Zimmer in the background. Now tell me that at least doesn't slightly pique your interest. The game I'm talking about is Skylanders Spyro's Adventure. Came out on PC, PS3, Xbox 360, Wii, and then a different version of 3DS. Yes, Skylanders is that one game where you walk into a toy store or a game store and you see the aisle full of colorfully sculpted toys and think to yourself, what a waste of money. Well, 5 years after the phenomena began, I saw some used Skylanders for $2.99 at a GameStop, and later that week they had a buy one get one free special. And the price of admission seemed pretty low in combination with a $7 used copy on Xbox 360 that I found on eBay, so I finally decided to give it a shot. In Skylanders, you physically take the role of a portal master. You use your circular plastic altar and place physical representation of virtual characters onto the portal, and they appear in the game. The characters have a small chip in them and use near-field communication, or NFC, to load the data. The Skylands are in trouble, as the evil Chaos, voiced by Richard Horvitz of Invader Zim fame, destroyed the core of light in an attempt to plunge the world into darkness. Eon, the Skylands Guardian, reduced to a floating head, asks you to use your Skylanders to help him rebuild it. Skylanders come in 8 different elements. There's fire, water, air, earth, life, undeath, tech, and magic. You can get through the game with as few as 2 or 3 characters, which come in the boxed starter kit, but to have access to all the areas of the game, you'll want at least 8, one from each element, as there are elemental gates that have to be opened by a character of that specific element. In addition to these elemental gates, certain areas within each stage will give bonus damage to Skylanders of specific elements. I knew it would drive me insane to see a door and not be able to access it, so I went with a base 8. I got Eruptor, Gilgrunt, Whirlwind, Prism Break, Stump Smash, Hex, Drobot, and Spyro. Each character can be leveled up to 10 in this game, increasing their base stats including their speed, damage, and hit points. Skylanders also start with 2 unique moves that can be upgraded using treasure in various ways, eventually reaching a fork on how you want to advance your version of that character. You can unlock Hero Challenge for every Skylander you own, and once opened, any Skylander can attempt said challenge. When complete, they earn a permanent boost to a particular predetermined stat as a reward. I always enjoyed the occasional Spyro the Dragon game starting back in the PlayStation 1 days, which led me to thinking this series would pull more from its platforming roots. Skylanders Spyro's Adventure is more of the dungeon crawling type, like I mentioned, with no jumping and, annoyingly, no camera rotation. Speaking of roots, unless you buy Spyro as one of the 32 available characters, you really wouldn't even know this is a Spyro the Dragon game, as it has no ties with any of the previous lore. Well, except Cinder, you can buy her too. The game has an ever-increasing level hub, where you can see the core being rebuilt, talk to NPCs that have joined your cause, and find hidden treasure here or there. The hub and its NPCs are used to access each progressive stage of the game, all of which can be replayed at any time from the pause menu. Stages have 3 stars that can be obtained, adding a significant amount of replay value. There's one for the chapter objectives, one for the completion, which includes things like finding all the areas, not losing a life, and doing a speed run. And in each stage, there are also 3 chests full of money, a legendary treasure, various hats, a story scroll, and a soul gem or 2 that make up the collection star. Legendary treasures give some immediate gold, but are also a collectible. Hats serve as the game's equipment, with each Skylander being able to equip one at a time and awarded armor, damage, or speed bonuses. Soul gems unlock a Skylander's ultimate move, so there's one for each character that you can obtain whether you have the character or not. Once the appropriate soul gem is gathered, money can be used to unlock it. This, of course, is where the sales pitch comes in. Hey kids, want to use this cool new move? Just have mom or dad run to your local game store and purchase this character. as you have the defaulted yes option to preview video of a character you probably don't own. Okay, so all this is great, and I'll admit the concept has me at its core, but let's be honest, this game is a little bit aimed at the youngins. While there is a talented voice cast, the dialogue and its jokes are obviously written to those of a little bit younger mindset. In the same way we can all appreciate Toy Story, the writing is quality, it's just young. An option to speed up the subtitles for those of us that can read would have been great sometimes, and maybe even a little bit better proofreading.
I know, that's why we're looking for... Wait, what am I saying?
A little bit of a stickler for grammar. I'm still not quite sure how I feel about all area found, but oh well. In addition, the game really likes to point out the obvious. It would have been nice to have an option to turn off some of this tutorial and obvious pointers after the first couple of stages. Now, strictly from a mechanic standpoint, these characters feel like they should be able to jump. There were also several areas where I had issues with the height level change. My projectiles were magically hitting walls that weren't there. This was especially frustrating with my Skylander Prism Break. There were quite a few sliding block puzzles, and as a rule I don't really mind them. The issue with Skylander's block puzzles though is each block is only allowed to move to certain places, for no other reason than the fact that they said so. If you know me, that's one of my pet peeves. I can buy into your logic of building an elemental core out of a skull and some golden gears and some eternal element sources, but don't force me to push a block only in the direction of the scuff marks on the ground. Part of me wonders if they just couldn't build their world in a way that these blocks wouldn't get stuck, or if it's just kind of on rails for kids so they can't make progress blocking mistakes. But I feel like this could have been solved other ways, like with a puzzle reset button or the ability to pull a block instead of just push them. You know, the way other games get around it. Skylanders does do a good job in taking breaks from their established gameplay cycle by varying it up a bit with some turret shooting, some shmup-style bullet dodging, and some lock puzzles. Most of these activities were fun, but I will say the Psyche Robot section near the end of the game was really bad. I mean, I understand my robot was moving forward in a three-dimensional space, enemies were coming at me too, so you have velocity to consider, but purposefully putting an enemy outside of your reticle in order to hit them, something's just broken here. Luckily, it wasn't very long. Spyro's Adventure also suffers from the problem a lot of 3D games like this do. Some of the targeting just gets ridiculous. I mean, in some of the faster-paced combat areas with Drobot, he just shot wherever he wanted to, which was often contrary to where I wanted him to. I did also have quite a bit of a problem with screen tearing. A few areas where the game slowed down quite a bit, but none were as bad as this random game glitch I had on one of the boss phases. An enemy Skylander just didn't appear, and I was stuck and had to restart the 15-minute stage. So with owning a few of Nintendo's amiibos and really seeing their worthlessness overall, it makes me question my accusation of Nintendo copying Skylanders' Toys to Games model. I mean, Skylanders does this right. Now, my imagination just runs wild, thinking of some of the hardcore RPGs that could use this model, carrying a character from game to game, swapping it in with the flip of a wrist. Granted, every time I'd lie back on the couch and got comfortable, I would be slightly peeved at having to sit up and switch them out, but it's still a really fun gameplay mechanic. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. Now just imagine a sprawling game that did the same for Nintendo's amiibos. I mean, you could visit Hyrule with Mario, bring Samus into a Pokemon game to hunt them all. I mean, why are they not using this functionality effectively? Okay, I'm done ranting. While it may not be apparent, this game does qualify as an action RPG dungeon crawler, and I will judge it as such. Skylanders, Spyro's Adventure ended up with a 68 out of 100 on my rating scale. Keep in mind that 50 is my average. I will probably be playing more Skylanders in the near future as I catch the figures at low pre-owned prices. I have too many systems to buy for to justify $15 a pop on these guys. I will admit the series probably isn't for everyone, but we really should learn not to scoff blindly just because of our predilections of the norm. I did the same thing to Pokemon for years until I finally relaxed my bias, and there too saw a fundamentally great role-playing game. Pokemon. Why didn't Pokemon do this years ago? Anyway, sorry, said I was done. This is Jiro from Umber Games. Thanks for watching.